Yeah. All right. Can I just say this? In a world where everyone is freaked out by third-hand smoke, and you're not supposed to have soda pops that are more than 16 ounces, and we're worried about salmon that's raised on a farm versus, and like I said, it's all smoking, tobacco. Hey, let's ban e-cigarettes. How about the negative health aspects of being 150 pounds overweight?
Yeah.
Is anyone, or that's to be celebrated?
Pride and shame is one thing, but if you were to ask any doctor, would you want your child to be obese, overweight, chubby even, versus have a healthy body? Of course they would say they want them to.
I think the point that she's trying to make is we're coming to understand that you can't shame people into being thin. Or at the very least, you can't shame them into being thin in a healthy way. They can shove their fingers down their throat, they can take a ton of diet pills, but you're not going to be able to shame them into being healthy. It just doesn't work.
Right. And, well, sort of and sort of not, because I've seen plenty of instances where people did get shamed into just about everything that worked. But there's still a difference between not shaming somebody and then celebrating somebody who's unhealthy. We don't celebrate smokers. They're unhealthy. We don't celebrate whatever. People don't wear seatbelts. It's not safe. You know what I mean? Like, we don't celebrate people riding motorcycles with no helmet. Like, there's still this thing of, like, I need to be celebrated for who I am. Ironically, coming from the people who are freaked out over, like I said, they've invented third-hand smoke. Fracking is going to kill. Fire's going to come out of your spigot. Like, all radon gas is seeping from the floors. There's environmental allergies. I mean, all the people that are Purelling the most are celebrating the hefty chicks the most. You'll die faster being overweight than you will be a smoker.
But are you truly worried about her health, or are you just exactly?
I'm saying it's hypocritical to go after third-hand smoke and then celebrate hefty chicks. They both have negative health effects.
Yeah, the scale goes from shame to pride with a nice zero in the middle. And while I agree that we probably shouldn't, I don't think we should shame people who are overweight, but I don't think we should celebrate it either. I mean, there's a healthy take care of yourself, but I'm not going to.
All right.
Plus or minus.
Anyway.
But if she's two-fist in a hoagie, I don't get fat by watching her do that.
No.
I might get a little cancer on me if somebody's blowing a cigarette in my face.
Yeah, but the big argument of, as a society, we all pay because we have to pay your health bills and for smokers, and we do all that. Well, it's the same with the two-fisted and the hoagie thing. Either way, I tuned in just at the moment where the hefty chick was telling me she never felt better about herself.
That's unfortunate. I think we can all agree.
She was crying. And listen, I don't know, and you guys tell me, I don't want to sound like a prick. I'm just saying, when did we all have to feel marvelous about ourselves? I mean, what I'm saying is feel marvelous about your role in life. Be a marvelous dad, be a marvelous mom, be a marvelous motorist, be a marvelous lover.
Marvelous motorist.
Hey, lover.
You've got it locked to HTLA Radio 1, New York.
This program is intended for mature audiences only. If you have any homicidal or suicidal feelings, please consult a doctor before listening to this program.
Or there'll be something else in it for you. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it may be to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is, of course, Monday, February 9th, 2015. And, it's HTLA Radio 1. And, of course, today we've got the Monday Mocha on Coffee and Cigarettes. That's right. It is time. Yes, it is, indeedy. Hope you all had a great weekend. I know I did. Yes. And so you might say, what do you got on the big show for us today, Crash? Well, my goodness, ladies, gentlemen, people out there everywhere. I've got a show. Oh, yes, I do. Today on the big show, gay marriage licenses denied in the land of equality. Oh, yes, while the Detroit Walker is rich and riding in style, baby. Yeah, there's a dad of an ISIS hostage who is getting some quick help from an Arizona politician. Also, kind of interesting, swatting. Yeah, I don't quite know what to make of that. What is that? Well, it's the new terrorist trend, and it's finally happened in the land of PC. Yes, the great land of PC here. Also, police have pulled over America. They've pulled her over, given her a ticket. She's done. No more racing for America. She's totally done. I'm being serious here. They've stopped America. Well, we've got all that, and of course, the pregnant baby who has twins inside her after being just born. Not even kidding. I'm serious. Not kidding. No, I know it's scary, but of course we've got it. And don't be scared, because we've got Jenny in the booth here, pushing all the buttons, making us go. We've got Louie, Tom, and George, and it's coffee time. So come on in and grab a cup, have a seat, and light one up, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for today's Coffee and Cigarettes. There you go, gang. The big intro, as it were, to Coffee and Cigarettes today for the Monday Mocha. Yours truly, Chris Christ Jesus, here with you at HTLA's Studio 2 in the heart of Manhattan. Right now, 27 degrees in Central Park and cloudy. And it's not looking too bad. No. It's supposed to clear up for tomorrow. It's going to be sunny and 40. Wednesday, sunny and 32. Okay, beggars can't be choosers. It's still winter time, after all. Dang it. That's pretty nice weather, I think, for... It's better than minus 30 and, ice storms. How about that? Yeah. Well, welcome to Coffee and Cigarettes, of course. HTLA Radio 1 New York. Check us out, HTLARadio1.com. That's the number 1, not O-N-E. Of course, that would make us HTLA Radio in Scotland. And we're not that laddie. No, we're not. I got the one and only social media goddess herself, Jenny McCartney in the booth here. Yes, the girl through the glass. She's giving it her all today for us here, and I think she's hit 5,000 folks on Facebook there already. It took, 5.5 days? Yeah, little old me, the host here. I've got 500, and that took me a couple of years. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, she's here today in the booth, pushing the buttons, making us go, of course, as always. Also, I need to say that today's broadcast is, of course, brought to you by the fine folks at Tim Hortons, New York City, now with 8, count them, 8 stunning locations to serve you in the greater New York City area. And I know I kick on Dunkin' Donuts all the time, but I'm sorry, America. They're crap. They are. And don't worry, America. The rest of you will be getting Timmy's soon enough. Trust me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have it on good authority. They're going to be bringing their wholesome goodness to the heartland, to the West Coast, to the Southeast and the Southwest. Yeah, you'll be able to go to Timmy's in Texas. Timmy's in Texas. Anyway, moving on with the big show today, I also need to mention that today's show is...
powered by Procast.
I forgot the headphones today. I did. But that's okay, because I don't need to hear to give you this radio gold every day, ladies and gentlemen. I just need to be able to talk. and I can talk today, and so can some other people that we're going to have on the show today they've become regular fixtures at HTLA here, and we're glad and lucky to have them. First up, of course, if you don't already know, the man who taught me film and television production all those 22-odd years ago, the one, the only Mr. Louis Lawless, on via satellite from Mill Bay Studios in beautiful Mill Bay, British Columbia, Canada. And I'm sure he's going to ask for money. Louis, are you there?
Can you give me any help for $25,000?
See, I told you he was going to ask for help for money. Yeah.
All right, go a half an hour. Do I get $50,000?
Yes. Of course.
You know how to spell my last name on the check, right? It's Louis Lawless.
Yes. And I heard you had some fun recently, Louis. What fun were you having?
I nearly got kicked out of a theater. I can't remember what I saw about 2 weeks ago because I was booing and screaming.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, can we cuss? Can I cuss as I always do on the show?
I'll tell you, we wouldn't have it any other way.
Which woman are you married to or living with now? The same one? The mother of the daughter, or was it a boy?
Clearly, you don't know, and that's just fine. We're going to put you back on hold now.
The music is fantastic. Oh, you got to hear it.
Yes, I know. I hear the music, too, sometimes when they put me on hold. Also joining us from his $60 million penthouse overlooking Columbus Circle in the beautiful city here, right downtown NYC, the one, the only Tom Cruise. Tom, welcome to the show.
Sure, absolutely.
Good to have you here again, of course, as always.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, yes, drum roll, please, the man that everybody loves. Yes. The one, the only George Takei, all the way from his beautiful home in Los Angeles.
I think it's a treat to be here talking with you.
All right, George. Well, good to have you here, too. And, man, we got a lot to talk about today. I thought it was going to be a slow day. Yes, but no, not at all. It's not a slow day. Why would it be a slow day? Right. I guess before we get rolling here, though, Tom, we got to get it out of the way because I know you've put it in your contract here with us over the weekend that now we have to do this as a condition of you being here. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Tom is going to tell you just a little bit about Scientology.
A friend of mine actually gave me this, it's actually this picture book about suppression, and social and antisocial personalities. And I was like, what is this? This is Scientology. I said, I'm very interested. And that's when I became a Scientologist about 20 years ago.
Right, yeah.
People are interested in Scientology, and I find that people wanted to know. They want to know about it.
Sure. That's why you had to contractually make it a thing that you would have a little section where you actually got to talk about it.
You're stepping over a line now.
Oh, well,
you're stepping
yeah.
over a line.
Yeah.
You know you are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you right now, put your manners back in.
All right, well, I'll do that, but only because it's the beginning of the show and I need you.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. And let's see here. Before we get rolling? No, we're not going to before we get rolling. Yes. No. Okay.
That's the famous story about Jerry Lee Lewis. You heard that story, haven't you? Sitting behind his desk at Paramount, talking with big executives and TV people, and all of a sudden the chick pops up underneath, wipes off her mouth, and walks out the door, and Jerry doesn't bat an eye.
Oh, Louis, whatsoever am I going to do with you?
And I finally figured out how to edit.
Oh, good. That's always good to hear from the man who taught me film and television production.
It's about fucking time. Move on.
All right, well, our first big story today is, of course, yes, gay marriage inequality. Yes, apparently very true here. Some Alabama counties are refusing to issue gay marriage licenses. Huh?
Oh, my.
Yes, that's not a good thing, is it, George?
I wasn't expecting that reaction.
Well, I know, and I wasn't. When I saw this, I'm like, oh God, George is going to hate this. But I gotta say, you're taking it quite well. Yeah. Well, that's because he knows I'm gonna Let him talk about Bobby later. Yes. So no kidding. Yeah. Alabama actually began issuing marriage license to same-sex couples Monday after the U.S. Supreme Court denied the state's request to extend a hold on the federal judge's earlier ruling. Judge Alan King of Jefferson County Probate Court in Birmingham issued the first license to 2 women, making Alabama the 37th state where gays legally can wed. He then proceeded to issue several more licenses. It's great that we're able to be part of history, said Dee Bush, who has been with her partner, Laura Bush. Laura, there you go. There. No, of course, not that one. Yes, for 7 years, they have apparently 5 children between them. Don't know how they managed that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. After receiving her license, she and her partner walked outside to a park where a minister was performing wedding ceremonies to cheers from onlooking crowds. And that all sounds great, doesn't it? Yes, it does. But not all counties, however, went along with King. No. Instead, citing a letter from Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore, who ordered the state's probate judges Sunday not to issue marriage licenses to gay couples. The outspoken social conservative told judges that the federal judge's decision striking down the state's ban on same-sex marriage was not bounding on state courts and that it caused, quote, confusion in the state. Probate Judge Al Booth in Ottawa County said his office will take applications for same-sex marriages but won't issue licenses until he gets clarification. I have the man who runs the state's court system telling me not to issue licenses for same-sex couples, Booth said. I have the federal judiciary telling me I will issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. I want to uphold my oath, but what law do I follow, he says. Which constitution do I uphold? Probate judges in at least half a dozen other counties have said that they won't issue marriage licenses to gay couples. Covington County, whose county seat is Aladusa, Elmore County and Wetumpka, Marengo County and Linden, Morgan County and DeKalb, Pike County and Troy. Susan Watson, executive director of the ACLU's Alabama chapter, said her group is monitoring the situation. Yes. I would really think long and hard before denying a federal court order, she said. Moore's actions to set up a showdown between the state's chief justice and the federal courts and won swift condemnation from lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender rights groups. Legal director Sarah Warblue of the Human Rights Campaign called Moore's letter a pathetic last-ditch attempt at judicial flat, whatever that means. Absent further action by U.S. Supreme Court, the federal ruling striking down Alabama's marriage ban ought to be fully enforced, and couples that have been waiting decades to access equal marriage under the law should not have to wait a single day longer, the statement said. Moore's 6-page letter was issued hours before same-sex marriage was expected to become legal in Alabama. No probate judge shall issue or recognize a marriage license that is inconsistent with Article 1, Section 3603 of the Alabama Constitution, or 3119 Alabama Code 1975, Moore wrote. The named sections refer respectively to the state's 2006 constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage and the 1998 law doing so. U.S. District Judge Ginny Grenade struck down both the state's law and the constitutional amendment in 2 decisions, January 23rd and 26th, saying that they violated same-sex couples' equal protection and due process rights under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Moore's order came as a stay of Grande's decision was set to expire. In issuing licenses in Birmingham, King said he was abiding by Grenade's order. The U.S. Supreme Court refused Monday to extend a hold on that order. However, Moore has made it clear that he will not give same-sex marriage a smooth path in the state. In Montgomery, Tori Sisson, a field organizer for the Human Rights Campaign, and Shanti Wolf, an artist, were married shortly after 8:45 a.m. Central Time outside the Montgomery County Courthouse Annex. The couple had camped out the night before to be the first same-sex couple to be there Wednesday. What the hell am I talking about? Yeah. It's exciting, Sisson said. It's amazing we're married. At least 3 other same-sex couples, 2 men and 2 pairs of women, were married Monday morning here. It's really disheartening that he's taking so much energy to make all these statements when no one fought this hard when he got married, Sisson said Sunday. Probate Judge Stephen Reed of Montgomery County said Moore's order surprised him but did not affect his decision to issue licenses. For the Chief Justice to take that position, that was really something beyond the scope of his jurisprudence, Reed said. Yada, 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 goes on for at least 5 more freaking pages of scroll. Not even going to go there.
My parents, our whole family were summarily rounded up after Pearl Harbor.
I know.
With no charges, no trial, and imprisoned in barbed wire internment camps in the United States.
I know.
The first camp we were sent to was in the swamps of Arkansas, and the second one we were sent to was a dry lake bed in Northern California, a desolate place. This was an egregious violation of the U.S. Constitution.
Well, it was, and it is still. That hasn't changed. That's for sure.
I think it's appalling.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. T would be proud of you.
Well, thank you, Louis. Thank you very, very much. Mr. T would be proud of me. That's
bullshitters. Never keep your mouth shut. Always hustling. Always looking for something to do and putting things together. That's American. Look how they took the country away from England.
Well, there you go. That's the segment 1 wrapped up there. We're going to go for a 2-minute commercial break. When we come back, Detroit's walking man to get $350,000, a new car, and lots of advice. We'll be back in 2.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always great tasting coffee.
White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum. 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
The hot new accessory, brows that wow. New from Maybelline, New York, it's Brow Drama, our first sculpting ball brush with tinted gel. Just sweep, then sculpt for bolder, sculpted brows. New Brow Drama. Get the look at Maybelline.com. Maybe it's Maybelline.
In this fast-paced, digital everything life, there's nothing like experiencing the world's finest journalism in its original form. So sign up today for as little as $3.80 a week to receive the greatest newspaper in the world and all the incredible experiences that come with it.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the Egyptian cotton towels. Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York. Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Well, you got that right, Kissy. We're back, babies. Still 27 degrees, Central Park. You got a lock to HTLA Radio 1 New York. I am the one, the only, Chris Crash Jesus Taylor, rolling with you this afternoon on the Monday Mocha, along with Louis Lawless. Yes?
Bullshitters, never keep your mouth shut, always hustling, always looking for something to do and putting things together. That's American. Look how they took the country away from England.
Good to see you, Louis. Also, the one, the only, Tom Cruise.
I think it's appalling that they're still burning synagogues in France. I think it's appalling how certain Muslims are being treated. I think it's absolutely appalling when we talk about freedom of speech and human rights. I think it's appalling that they electric shock people.
Yeah.
I think it's appalling that they drug children.
Well, there you go.
You are a douchebag.
Of course, George. The one, the only George Takei, right here on HTLA. I'm just a rapping nightmare today. Welcome back to the Monday Mocha. Yes, coffee and cigarettes, HTLA. Man, how many times can I say that over and over again? And now we've got to pause the show for a moment before we get back into the Detroit Walker. Yeah. Sounds like a new Walking Dead thing. I don't know, but... yeah, the one, the only Jenny McCartney, the social media goddess there with her 5,000 Facebook friends in 5 days. Jeez. It's not fair, I tell you. I'm the host, and I've only got like 500, and that took me 2 years to put together. It's not funny, man. Anywho, Jenny has done a couple of language sequences for us, as her background is apparently Russian-Polish. She's done some Russian clips for us here, and today she's got a couple of new ones here for us. Jenny, I guess I'll turn it over to you. Fire when ready.
In order to say nice to meet you in Russian, you would say приятно познакомиться. Say it with me.
No.
Приятно познакомиться. Приятно познакомиться. Let's say it again. Приятно познакомиться. Приятно познакомиться. And that is how you say nice to meet you in Russian.
Yes, but the ultimate question, Jenny, where is the bathroom?
In order to ask someone where's the bathroom in Russian, you would say где туалет. Now say it with me. Где? Where? Туалет is the bathroom.
Toilet. There we
Где?
go.
Туалет. Great. Say it again.
No.
Где? Туалет. Где? Туалет.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how you say where's the bathroom in Russian.
Well, thank you. That's good. I like that.
You want to move on? Come on. Let's go, man.
It's about fucking time. Move on. Move on.
Oh, you guys, you're not very nice to poor Jenny. She's trying to teach us something here, and we're just playing around and talking over her stuff. It's not good.
You would have loved the guy. Never drank, never smoked, did...
Who? Whoa, wait a minute. All right, Louis, what are you talking about?
That's the famous story about Jerry Lee Lewis. You heard that story, haven't you? Sitting behind his desk at Paramount, talking with big executives and TV people, and all of a sudden the chick pops up underneath, wipes off her mouth, and walks out the door, and Jerry doesn't bat an eye.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I like it.
Mr. T would be proud of you.
Well, and I'm proud of Mr. T too. Actually, we're gonna have him joining us here in the next couple of weeks. By the way, there, Louis.
You would have loved the guy. Never drank, never smoked, did drugs, nothing. He had only one obsession, and that was the women.
He just pitied the fool, and yeah.
If you think that you were clever with women, he wouldn't stand a candle with this guy.
No.
Or Muhammad Ali was another one with women. I did 2 films with him.
Yeah.
We would walk into. We were doing a big boxing movie with 200 or 300 people in the stand, and he walked in and had beside him stood his macho honcho, and those were all the Muslims in those days. They had those little thin ties and suits.
Yeah.
And he would point at the females, and he went and got them and gave them a note, and every 20 or 30 minutes they would go into his dressing room. But they were only talking about negotiations, I'm sure, right?
Oh, yeah, it's all about the business, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's all about the business, yes.
Oh man, Louis. Well, that was good. Thank you very much for that. That was funny. I did not know that about Muhammad Ali.
It's about fucking time. Move on.
All right. Well, moving on. Our next story today on the old hit parade is, of course, the story we brought you last week about the Detroit walking man. Yes, the man who walked 21 miles every day to work in the 7 feet of snow. Well, 1 week after he gained global attention for his 21 miles and 2 bus rides of daily commuting, Detroiter James Robertson looked no different, but Robertson, 56, said that his once quiet, arduous life was forever changed. Strangers rush up to him now after his face appeared on TV screens and newspaper pages around the world. He says, quote, "I went to a casino on Saturday, and people wanted to get their pictures taken with me," he said. He's sleazing around the casinos now.
I think it's appalling.
I know. Well, he in the past, Robertson said he was visited by Detroit's casinos occasionally and gambles small amounts of his $10.55 an hour wage. Along with the fame came fortune. About $350,000 was the Sunday night total in a GoFundMe.com account for Robertson. And its teenage creator in Macomb Township prepared to close it at midnight. Detroit resident James Robertson, 56, of Detroit, talks about his journey walking 21 miles a day to work and back. Ryan Garza from the Detroit Free Press originally broke this. Robertson, shoveling snow at the house where he lives in Detroit, wore a battered set of work boots in which he logged countless miles to his factory job in Rochester Hills, where he planned to punch in for Monday's afternoon shift. But parked in view of his upstairs apartment was his new Ford Taurus, the gift of Suburban Ford in Sterling Heights. Loaded with options, it was a surprise Friday after Robertson told a succession of reporters that of all the cars in the world, he'd like a Ford Taurus because, quote, "It's like me. Simple on the outside, strong on the inside." Yeah, Robertson said he didn't know how much money he had coming. He said he'd soon meet with the people who are going to help me look after that. He's to be coached by several unpaid financial advisors, said Blake Pollock, 47, of Rochester, a UBS banker who befriended Robertson last year at the side of the road. The cash is fully taxable, as with any gift of cash, according to the tax experts. Pollock, a UBS Vice President Wealth Management, said Friday he'd picked up the financial advisors but declined to identify them until Robertson approves of them. Pollock said he would not be involved directly nor attend a meeting with Robertson to avoid a conflict of interest. "He's my friend," he said, "and that's it." Instead, Robertson is to have with him Evan Leedy, 19 of Macomb Township, a Wayne State University junior and computer expert who set up the GoFundMe.com campaign. Look at that. You've got to be a computer expert now to set up a GoFundMe campaign, really. Come on.
I think it's appalling.
Yeah, sure. We're supposed to believe that you have to be a computer expert. Yes. Well, in the first hours after the Free Press introduced Robertson's plight, Leedy's page grew donations from Southeast Michiganders. But by the week's end, they were flowing in from around the world and still rolling in Sunday night at $10, $25, and even $200 and $500 shots. As for shutting down the money machine, Leedy said, I talked to James about it, and James wants to give people the opportunity to give to other causes. And I think James didn't want people to think that he was greedy. And yeah, that's sure. I probably would have kept it up for another 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You bet. Absolutely.
I need to try and raise $25,000 to enter in the Academy Awards. And I think it's a fantastic risk because we have a tremendous chance. There's about 200 members that vote on it, and you have to give them a DVD now.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Of course, I believe what Louis is talking about is the voting members of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.
We were 5 steps away from winning the Academy Award, and we didn't.
Well, I know, but hey, you know what? At least you were in the running,
Listen, we raised children.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, how do you answer that? How do you answer that question?
I didn't. Did I? No, we didn't. No. You know what, George? It's time for Bobby.
The boys around me were saying things like, Sally is cute, or Monica is hot. And I thought Sally and Monica were nice, but who really got me excited was Bobby.
Yes. And do.
I think it's...
yes, I know.
I think it's appalling.
I know. Please, because I know Tom wants to know, tell us what really got you going about his body, George.
What particularly was exciting was he had blonde forearm hair, and he was tan, that glistened. That's when what caught my eye when I first saw him. He had his T-shirt on, but you can see that he had great pectoral T-shirts. And then to see it all, and it's gorgeous body.
That's what I want. I think it's appalling that they're still burning synagogues in France. I think it's appalling how certain Muslims are being treated. I think it's absolutely appalling when we talk about freedom of speech and human rights. I think it's appalling that they electric shock people. I think it's appalling that they drug children. I think it's appalling that they say that there are no solutions for those things. I think it's appalling that people have to live a life of drug addiction. I think it's appalling.
Okay. Are you done?
Absolutely. You want to move on? Come on. Let's go, man.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, right? Well, our next story up for grabs here at the old coffee shop today is, of course, the father of an ISIS hostage who's got some help early from a fast-moving Arizona politician. Yeah. Story comes to us from Phoenix, Arizona. Carl Mueller waited in the lobby of the radio station, introduced himself to then Arizona Secretary of State Ken Bennett, and asked if the two could speak outside in private. In the parking lot, Mueller told Bennett, who had been guest hosting a talk radio show, that his daughter Kayla, who did humanitarian work in the Middle East, and that a few days prior she had been kidnapped by terrorists. As Bennett recalled Sunday, Mueller asked whether Bennett, one of the Prescott's most visible politicians, could help. Well, that was in August of 2013. Yeah, 18 months before the rest of the world would know. That Kyla Mueller was in the hands of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. This encounter, emblematic of the close-knit life of Prescott, would put Mueller in contact with federal officials who would keep him updated and work towards his daughter's release. ISIS said last Friday that Kayla Mueller, 26, had been the group's hostage and was killed by a Jordanian airstrike on a building. That airstrike was in retaliation for ISIS burning a Jordanian pilot to death, an act that the group filmed and released to the public on YouTube. ISIS has not provided any proof of Mueller's death thus far. U.S. officials and intelligence analysts have expressed doubt that the claim that she was indeed killed in the airstrike. The State Department did not issue any new statements Sunday on the matter. Bennett said that he spoke with the Mueller family over the weekend and that they were still praying for the best. They're still hopeful that by some miracle she might still be alive and returned, Bennett said. They haven't given up hope, and I don't think we should either. On that day in August 2013, the news of the kidnapping still fresh in Carl Mueller, the father told Bennett that he had heard him on the radio, realized he was actually in the studio, and drove over. The body shop Mueller owned at the time was less than a mile from the building that housed KYCA-AM. Bennett said the look of agony on the father's face told him the story was true. It hit me like a ton of bricks, said Bennett, who left office in January. Kayla Mueller was kidnapped in Aleppo, Syria on August 4th, 2013, while leaving a hospital. She had been doing aid work with refugees in that country, though she was not affiliated with a specific group that particular day. Bennett said he wasn't sure why Carl Mueller reached out to him. Bennett's political job at the time involved overseeing elections policy. The two did not know each other, though Bennett said he thought he had once used his body shop. Bennett also thought he had spoken at Kayla Mueller's high school when he was the Senate president. Bennett didn't care why the father came to him, but Bennett sensed he wasn't sure exactly where to turn. Just to see the anguish and the pain in his face that first day was just overwhelming, he said. Bennett called the cell phone of Representative Paul Gosar, the congressman for that area, and the U.S. Senator John McCain. I heard back from Carl over the next few days that they had in fact been in touch with them and were being very helpful, Bennett said on Sunday. In an interview with the Arizona Republic and KPNX TV Phoenix. Bennett said he's not sure how Carl Mueller knew his daughter had been kidnapped. I don't remember him saying ISIS, Bennett said. I don't remember him saying that he had been in contact directly by the terrorist at that point. Every few months, Bennett said Mueller would update him as a courtesy. In one of those calls, Bennett said he doesn't remember exactly when. Mueller spoke vaguely of a rescue. In one of the conversations, Carl mentioned there might be some Department of Defense resources in the region at the time that might allow for a rescue attempt, Bennett said. Bennett added they didn't hear anything more about any such attempt. The parents have not spoken publicly since the news of their daughter's captivity broke on Friday, but they did release statements confirming her kidnapping and expressing hope that their daughter is still alive. Yeah, so what do you say to that? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I find that appalling when people who don't know what they're talking about say things like that. Mm-hmm. Well, how would you feel?
Me? Well, if it was my daughter, I'd get my old Navy SEAL uniform on and brush off those Colt M4s and those grenade launchers and go kick some butt.
I lived in Greenwich Village for a while when I first started out as an actor.
You don't say, Louis. You know, it's funny you should say that because I actually already knew that.
You know, I don't feel ignorance breeds bigotry.
Well, it's true. It's true. And now, well, I'm just going to do it. George, tell us about Captain Kirk.
He enjoys being the center of everything, and when he's on the set, he dominates. You may have heard about some of the difficulties that cast members had. We might be preparing a scene where it'd be a close-up on you, and then it would shift to Bill, and then you'd see Bill in a whispered conversation with the director, and the setup was changed, and it was on Bill, and you were the offstage voice. And so things like that, sometimes has a way of rubbing you in one direction. But, Captain Kirk is a Bill Shatner creation.
It's his metabolism. I mean, he vibrates Captain Kirk, and so it's Bill's unique talent, energy, and persona that made Captain Kirk the kind of character that he was. So it was fun to watch him act. Some of those scenes that he did were just inspired.
Yeah,
wonderful acting.
Yeah,
and, in television you don't get to rehearse that much. So to see an actor be able to produce, and then you have a second take, and there it is again, and it's a little different, and it's a little bit better. It's he was fascinating to watch. Sometimes difficult to work with.
Yeah, but did you ever want to bang him?
Do you think I'm sexually aroused by Mr. Shatner?
Of course. Why, God, I am, and I'm not a homosexual. There you go. So that's all you need to know. And Tom, I hope you enjoyed that.
Absolutely. I think it's appalling.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Moving on, the dangerous swatting prank. Yes, has now fallen into the category of terrorism. That's right. Good old St. Cloud, Minnesota. Josh Peters knew what was happening the instant he heard his mother's frantic voice. It was around 1 o'clock in the morning on February 4th, and Peters, 27 years old, was hosting an online stream as he played a video game. I've never understood this. These people on YouTube, mostly, pretty close to 30-year-olds living in their mother's basements, playing video games. They'll go and do a Ustream on YouTube or Ustream or one of those things and do a live broadcast of them playing video games. Yeah, this is me playing a video game. Are you excited yet?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's appalling.
Well, so do I. Absolutely. And it's not only appalling, it's just downright stupid.
Bullshitters, never keep your mouth shut, always hustling, always looking for something to do and putting things together. That's American. Look how they took the country away from England.
Well, this guy here, Peters, he's a superstar of this. Apparently, thousands all over the world tune in to, quote, watch him play video games. Yeah. Anyway, Clash of the Titans is his game of choice these days, and Peter makes a living, apparently, as, and I'm not even kidding here, Koopa Troopa 787. He's the host of the popular channel on the website Twitch TV, where more than 50,000 gamers at any given time watch him play while he interacts with them, being the viewers.
I want to help people. It's not something that I just say. It's something that I actively pursue, and that's how I feel. I feel privileged, truly.
Well, good. You should, but you don't... You don't watch this guy, do you?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well, he had noise-canceling headphones on, so he could only be barely heard the commotion upstairs, hurried footsteps to the basement, and his mom shouting at him that the police were at the house. But Peters, who returned from a tour of duty with the Air Force in Kuwait last November, stayed calm and paused his stream. He knew why they were there. Yeah. Apparently, here we go. Right away, I knew I was being swatted, he said. St. Cloud police had received an anonymous call reporting an active shooter incident with a woman's life in danger at Peter's home. According to Lieutenant Jeff Oxton, it's called swatting and is a prank growing more common in the gaming community, Oxton said. He said this wasn't the first swatting call St. Cloud police have responded to. Peters had heard of it happening to plenty of others, but never imagined he would be the target. Kristen Darnall, Peter's mother, was asleep when she heard pounding on the door. She looked out the window and saw police lights flashing. She went downstairs and saw through a window on the door several officers with weapons drawn. Well, her husband came downstairs and let the officers in, but when he reached to undo the complex lock on the door, the police yelled at him to keep his hands in the air. Peters was upstairs by this point when the door was finally opened. Darnall said police threw her husband and Josh to the floor. She stood with her back pressed against the wall, trying to ask what was happening. In a really short period of time, it got really crazy, she said. This was the most dangerous situation I've ever been in my life, and I was deployed. Peter's 10-year-old brother popped around the corner. A startled officer pointed a rifle at him and told him to get down, sending the child scurrying back down to his bedroom. Eventually, after what Darnall called 3 to 5 minutes of crazy terror, Peter shouted that he was streaming a video game and he was likely being swatted. When the officers heard that, he said they began to understand what had happened and the mood in the room changed. After hearing what the prank call had consisted of, Darnall and Peters said that they were thankful officers were so controlled and professional. Peters said he didn't want to think about what would have happened if the officer startled by his younger brother down the hall hadn't been under such control. Oxton said police have to respond to these types of calls as if they are real. Peters said he had been trained for active shooter situations and stayed calm, but he was angry a prankster or, quote, troll would put his family in such a frightening and dangerous situation. The part that really hurt me was just seeing how scared my little brother was, he said. Darnall said her 10-year-old son, in the days since the incident, has suffered a migraine, had been play-acting the scenario with Nerf guns, and had woken with, quote, night terrors. Wow, you know what? Get over it. My 10-year-old had an assault rifle pointed at him, she said, and he will never forget that. After not sleeping all night long and feeling like I'd put my nose on the market to get out of here, I thought this was not okay, she said, that there are people out there who think they can just do these kinds of things. It's just not okay. Oxton said the case is still active and that police would use every resource at our disposal to hold people who do this accountable. A few minutes after leaving the stream, Peters returned visibly shaken. He looked at the camera and addressed his viewers, telling them whoever made the call had just terrorized his family. I knew they'd be watching, he said, and if they had a heart, I wanted to break it, he said. There have been so many people in the gaming community who have experienced this, and it is an act of terrorism. There you go. So misuse of the 911 service and getting SWAT to come and take you down. That's the new terror threat out there. You know, really?
Maybe it's that love-hate.
I don't know, George. I don't know. It seems a little retarded to me, but yeah, that's what you're going to do when you live in that shoe. And you know, so many people on the internet these days just don't have any accountability, none at all. That they don't have any credibility. There's not really any honesty that you know I've seen on the internet, and I've seen a lot.
Use power. That's why power is corrupt, and it is. We see it every day. We see it in every job. It's the same thing.
Well, it is. It is true. You've got a good point there, Louis.
I nearly got kicked out of a theater. I can't remember what I saw about 2 weeks ago because I was booing and screaming.
Well, you know, when you go into a theater and you boo and scream, you're probably going to get kicked out. I'm thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's appalling.
Well, whatever. He paid his $20 for his popcorn. If he wants to boo and scream, I think he's got the right to. I just do. Well, moving on, the police who have pulled over America and given her a ticket that she's not likely ever going to be able to pay, and I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I'm dead serious here too. Bound Brook, New Jersey. Yes, not that far away. The school was closed for the blizzard that wasn't, but there was still enough snow on the ground that two high school seniors thought they could make a few extra bucks. In the process, Matt Molinari and Alex Skempf, both 18 years old, also learned the valuable lesson about one of the cost of doing business, and that is, of course, government regulations. Oh, yes.
Well, actually, what shaped my life is what happened to all Japanese Americans during the Second World War.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor was bombed.
Right.
And overnight,
American citizens of Japanese ancestry were looked at with suspicion and fear and outright hatred simply because we happen to look like the people that bombed Pearl Harbor.
Sure.
And we were put in barbed wire American prison camps.
Well, George, I know all this. And what you're saying is absolutely valid. But this is a little different. It's not those kind of government regulations. It's what I like to call the anti-American government regulations. The two friends were canvassing a neighborhood near the borough's border with Bridgewater early Monday evening, handing out flyers promoting their service. Now, if that isn't American, then I'm in the wrong country.
Absolutely.
That's the way it is. However, when they were pulled over by police, they were told to stop.
I think it's appalling.
Yeah. Well, of course it is. Since what? That's American, man. You go out and you shovel snow. It's performing a service. You get paid for it. That's America. Well, the story was shared on popular Bound Brook Facebook group by a resident who saw the two being questioned by police after coming to his door. Are you kidding me, he says. Our generation does nothing but complain about his generation being lazy and not working for their money. He wrote on the Brook, New Jersey events page. Here's a couple of kids who take the time to print up flyers, walk door to door on the snow, and then shovel snow for some spending money. And someone calls the cops and they're told to stop? Well, members of the group responded with support for the young entrepreneurs. Bound Brook, New Jersey, like many municipalities in the state and country, has a law against unlicensed solicitors and peddlers. So there you go. Despite the rule, however, Police Chief Michael Janon said that the two young businessmen were not arrested or issued a ticket, and that the police's concern was about them being outside during dangerous conditions. Apparently,
I think it's appalling.
Well, of course it is. It's retarded.
You are a douchebag.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming, George, that of course you're talking about the police in this case. Yeah?
As I grew up, I made another discovery.
Yeah,
there were places called gay bars.
Okay, well, all right. Thank you. That's great. Right. Well, he says, the chief of police, rather, says that they don't make the laws, but they have to uphold them. He said Tuesday, after reading some of the online comments about the incident, this was a state of emergency, he said. Nobody was supposed to be out on the road. Well, the way I'm looking at it is if two teens want to go out and risk frostbite, if indeed the conditions were that severe, which, by the way, they weren't, then shouldn't it be on them to have the own personal common sense to decide, geez, this is unsafe, we'd better go inside, Tom?
I think it's appalling.
Right. Well, you've raised kids, right?
Listen, we raise children.
Yeah. Right. So how do you,
how do you answer that? How do you answer that question?
Well, I wasn't asking one. I thought you were going to actually ask one, but that's okay. That's okay.
I think it's appalling.
Yeah. Well, so do I, and it's anti-American. Yes. I think I used that statement in at least one news story every single day on this show. It's getting to be, I don't know, an epidemic.
The music is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to hear it.
All righty. Well, the cops were nice about it, he said. They weren't jerks. They were trying to make sure everything was okay. Well, okay. Yeah, we're fine, officers. Have a nice day. That should have been the end of it. In this borough, anyone selling goods and services door to door must apply for a license that can cost as much as $450 for permission that is valid for only 180 days. Nonprofits are exempt from the fee but must still apply for the permit. Similar bans around the country have put a kibosh on other capitalist rites of passage, such as lemonade stands and girls selling Girl Scout cookies. Yes, because we've got to ban that. But isn't it funny how, especially on the internet, we are advertised to from every single direction, and then some we didn't even know we had. You know, you finish your browsing session these days, and you close your browser, and what happens? 50 pop-ups. Hey, we're in America. What are those 50 pop-ups doing? How come I'm sitting here how come I can't click on it? How come my computer just froze? How come it's locked? How come it's shut down now? Because something just crapped out the memory because it was streaming 50 freaking commercials and ads for crap that isn't even in this country. Whoa, let's talk about that for a minute. Huh? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to digress because I'm running out of time, and we've got even bigger fish to fry on this show. Yes, we do. Yeah? How about the little girl born pregnant with twin fetuses? Isn't that fun?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Well, being born pregnant is so rare, it has only been documented 200 times in history. Yeah, but it does happen. Mm-hmm. It does. And it happened this week in Hong Kong. Yeah. Actually, the report came out this week in Hong Kong. It actually happened in November of 2010, where a case of a newborn girl thought to have 2 tumors in her abdomen that were found to be -8 and -10-week-old fetuses instead, weighing 1/2 ounce and 1/3 ounce. They were far enough along to each have 4 limbs, a spine, a rib cage, intestines, an anus, and to be connected through an umbilical cord to a single placenta-like mass. Since it's impossible for the little girl to have conceived the pregnancy on her own, the fertilization of the twin fetuses, of course, belongs to her parents, which has gone to the wrong place, a local doctor tells us today. The baby girl carrying the fetuses underwent successful surgery to remove them at just 2 weeks of age. The condition, called fetus in fetu, is thought to occur in 1 in 500,000 births worldwide. This is the second such case to be reported in the region. The World Health Organization has classified it as a type of cancer called mature testosteroma. Yeah, okay. The researchers write, the theory of demised multiple pregnancy has gained much support recently. More evidence is needed to confirm either theory. Last year, doctors found a 44-year-old calcified fetus in an 84-year-old woman. And man, is this show turning into weird or what? Weird or what? I'm thinking it's weird. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And hey, guess what, guys? It's that time again. Yes, it is. It's time to say goodbye. I'd like to thank Mr. Louis Lawless for coming out today.
I nearly got kicked out of a theater. I can't remember what I saw about 2 weeks ago because I was booing and screaming.
I know. And Tom, any parting thoughts?
People are interested in Scientology, and I find that people wanted to know.
Yeah.
They want to know about it.
Sure. Okay. I'm really believing you there.
You're stepping over a line now.
Yeah.
You're stepping over a line. You know you are. I'm just telling you right now. Put your manners back in.
All right. They're back in. Why don't you go take some drugs?
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. And George Takei, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on today.
I've enjoyed it thoroughly. It has been a fantastic experience.
Well, great. It's good to have you again. And for those of you who are up on the HTLA stuff, keep an eye out. Tonight is Straight Talk Mondays. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern for Straight Talk with Kate and Crash. Got a really good show for you tonight. Also, Coffee and Cigarettes tomorrow on the Tuesday show, 3 p.m. Eastern. We will be sure to catch you then. You guys have a good rest of the day.
You've got it locked to HTLA Radio 1, New York.